All of this is basically exchanging one nanny state for another nanny state.
Sounds great, but nanny state.
Yeah. Well, you even made it rhyme. That's even better than mine. Sounds great, nanny state. I mean, that could be well, we almost got the making of a country song here, Sina.
I wanted to be optimistic. Truly, I did. I really wanted this to turn out well, but honestly, it has not. And I can say today that on July 22nd, 2025, 2 days before Independence Day, that the MAHA movement, Make America Healthy Again, is dead. It is a failure. It has been an abject embarrassment. And we're going to talk about that today in this video. If you've been following my work for a while, you know that I was critical of this. I just to say on the front end, if you're just tuning in for the first time, this is your first time seeing me, I very much, am all for clean food. Let's return to organic, regenerative agriculture. Let's, depart from big pharma. I mean, hey, I'm all in. Get rid of it all, right? I'm so sick and tired of this stuff, and I'm with a growing number of Americans who are just fed up with this stuff. And, but I had my questions about Kennedy. I appreciate some of the stances that he took on the food systems, on some of his criticisms of big pharma, and I have to choose my words carefully here because of this platform. Hopefully you understand. I was pessimistically optimistic. I wanted to see change. I wanted to be improvements. But so far, halfway into this year, it has been nothing but a complete abject failure and a joke, and RFK has shown himself to be an absolute hypocrite. There was a lot of warning signs beforehand, but now a lot of people are finally figuring this out. I'm not trying to sound like a big know-it-all and some smart aleck, but if you've been following my work, you know that I was raising some concerns about this guy. I said I don't think this is going to turn out very well, and sure enough, it's just been one thing after the next with this guy. So we're going to get into that in today's video. If you guys like what you see, please leave a like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below so we can get this out in the algorithm so more people can see it, and we can have a discussion about it. Let me know what you think. Please share the video with your friends and all your social networks. And follow me on Substack for more of my unfiltered opinions, things that I cannot say here in this platform. So as you can see on your screen, this just came out today. I was going to film this earlier, and then I saw this. I thought, well, maybe I'll do a quick post about it. But he ran his mouth on that, and of course, he's backtracked. Now he's saying, well, we're going to make them more honest, was the words he chose. He told Tucker Carlson in an interview that was published this morning, which of course means nothing will change. Okay, that's all that means. More honest, it means nothing. Because, you want honesty? Okay, well, why don't you publish what happened for the last several years with the certain treatments for the sniffles? You want to be honest about that? Exactly. Not going to happen. Look, and again, I can't say all this stuff out loud for obvious reasons. Again, follow me on Substack where I can talk more openly about this stuff. I've got a whole growing list. It's gonna keep getting longer of all the stuff that's been going on with this guy. This one right here I published actually in December of last year. Or I'm sorry, January, excuse me. Warning people, hey, this is not a good sign. It already seems like the administration hadn't begun yet, and it was already, they're yoking up with the big farm guys. They're making it very clear that was going to go. So, yeah. And the MAHA report came out earlier this May, and it was riddled with errors and nonsense in it. They literally made up citations. They misappropriated other studies to twist a narrative. So the whole thing was a mess. But they came out with 10 different things they wanted, which all of which is, in my opinion, is just coded language that they're just being dishonest in my view. One of them was AI-powered surveillance, so now we're gonna watch everything you do and everything else, and that speaks to something else that happened. The big ones that really happened just recently that shows that it has nothing to do about health anymore. Is now we're gonna call it MABA. Now we're gonna call it Make American Biotech Accelerate, and he tells everyone to go get wearables. So he's out here, promoting wearables, telling everybody, hey. My vision is that every American is wearing a wearable within the next 4 years, which did not go over well, to the point where even his own group that he used to head up for a long time, Children's Health Defense, actually came out and called him out and said, "No, we're not a part of this. We don't want this. We didn't ask for this." But that's the agenda now, and now he's even calling it, MABA, Make American Biotech accelerate. And moreover, he's saying that now big pharma is now well he didn't say this, but the new FDA that's in collaboration with him is now saying that pharmaceutical companies are not going to have a safe space. So we're not ending this stuff. We're not going to rescind anything. It's just going to be a safe space.
When you get the CEOs and leaders of these companies, drug developers, inventors, the scientists in the room, and you say, this is a safe space, tell us your ideas for an FDA that works better for you. It's amazing. They will talk, they will unload, they will share, and so they did. If you want someone to be honest and genuine in sharing their ideas, you have to create a safe space for them. And since we were not answering questions, we were not giving talks, we were not sharing new information from the FDA, we were listening. It was amazing how many people told us when they don't have to worry about their shareholders and their employees and investors and everybody else, how they just felt comfortable giving ideas, and they gave us a lot of ideas.
Yeah, I know we can be transparent in what we're thinking and what we're going to do at FDA, but it's really not our role to force companies for telling their deepest, darkest secrets to the whole world. And in fact, by doing it behind closed doors, and again, we're just listening to what they're saying and writing notes and kind of saying back to them what we hear them saying, we learned a lot. And
so already we're getting off to a bad start. I saw this article, again, published this morning by Sasha Latyapovia, and there's the so-called MAHA scorecard, the first 6 months of Trump admin according to HHS, and it's this website called MAHA PAC, Political Action Committee, and it's obviously very pro-MAGA, pro-MAHA, and they're going to say, look, all the winning we've done. And again, I'll post the link in the description in my Substack. You can check this out for yourself. It's a whole lot of nonsense. It was a good article, but I wanted to highlight this because this I thought was an interesting headline. This is on their website. A healthy America is just beyond the horizon. So that's just an odd statement to make. I don't know. And I saw this doctor come out who is in favor of the MAHA movement. By the way, he's pro the overall messaging of, hey, let's clamp the food supply. Let's do whatever. Let's change it around. But he's come out just recently and said, he's so disappointed in what's going on. And he brought up a really good point that I never mentioned before, but I'm going to mention it now because he talks about this whole deal of, we're getting rid of the food dyes and we're getting rid of some of these ingredients. Now, I've talked about this before as well, and this is which I've said, as a big, red herring is, look, we're going to remove the dyes from your Hershey's chocolate bar. Look, we're moving it from your jam, and look, we're moving the dyes from Nestle products and whatever else. And I'm certainly not in favor of these dyes. I think they should be completely removed. What this doctor brings up, which is a good point, is, hey, wait a second, there's more to it than just that. There's the whole litany of stuff that we got to get rid of, and not just the stuff we got to get rid of, but the messaging.
Now, I'm not saying food dyes are good, but I saw this thing online where there was a group of people who were marching to the headquarters of this big food corporation saying, we demand that food dyes are taken out for the health of our children. And then this obviously happened. But I was thinking to myself, all the people online who were marching to this place, all these people who were celebrating online in the last couple of weeks, food dyes are being eliminated. Big win for children. How much more in your own bubble could you possibly be? Firstly, you're all healthy. Have you actually stepped outside of the bubble and seen what's happening? Have you ever considered for a moment that this food is utter trash anyway, and kids are having bowls and bowls of the food, and maybe some kids and parents will now think, it's healthy, we'll have more of it. I mean, wake up again and smell the coffee here. Will eliminating a seed oil from a fast food restaurant, which was already serving complete and utter trash, will that make the slightest bit of difference? Because I bet that people will see that and think, I'll get a bigger portion of fries then. It's healthier. Do you realize what I'm getting at? Do you realize? Seriously.
Good news, the fries truly are cooked in just beef tallow. When I asked the manager, he said it wasn't bleached, deodorized, or had any preservatives. But when I asked him if the French fries were freshly cut or frozen, he said, are they freshly cut here?
No, they're not.
They're frozen?
Yeah.
Do you know if they're coated in any other oils or preservatives, or is it just one ingredient, frozen potatoes?
Yeah, it's got quite a bit of it.
It does?
It's got like a batter mix, like food starch, rice flour, things like that.
Is there an oil on the fries too?
Mixed vegetable, soybean, canola.
Okay, so that's coated, but when you fry them, they're in beef tallow. So they're buying fries that are already cooked in seed oils, frozen, and then dunked in the beef tallow here, which is not optimal at all.
Fed does not mean the cows spend their lives in fields. Who would have thought?
I have never felt more bamboozled in my life.
She
You're
said
telling me this is
bamboozled.
what grass-fed means? I'm thinking they're free, happy cows living off the land.
That doesn't even look like real grass. Even the grass is fake. It's all a conspiracy. Wow, wow, wow.
But no, this is the reality.
The grass looked really green.
So much more than the food. There is a deep-seated cultural issue why so many people do not care anymore about this. Of course they know that these foods are bad. Of course they know that they're getting out of shape, but they've lost the desire to really do anything about it. I mean, by the time somebody has become obese, do you know how many calories it takes to get to that stage? When you have a 30-year-old who's obese on the verge of type 2 diabetes, how many excess calories and years of neglect it takes to get to that? This isn't Einstein to work out what's going on. Where is the messaging? Yes, you absolutely have to cut back on what you eat. You can't consume 4,000 calories a day and then burn off at best 1,500, 2,000 calories and not expect bad things to happen. Where is that root cause message? Instead, you're focusing on let's ban food dyes. Let's switch out this tiny little ingredients. A win for children. A win for people in the country. Are you bloody kidding me here? Seriously. Come on. Wake up to what's happening. There is a bigger issue at play. And I don't claim to have the answers to how you change culture. This is going to be very difficult. How do we get society to value what it did only 20 years ago?
And so I think he makes a really valid point. You know, we have a problem in this country right now with massive obesity, being overweight. Over 75% of the population in the United States is overweight or obese. I mean, that is horrifically bad, you know? And so, yes, removing the dyes, remove whatever, that's, again, I'm all for remove the dyes. But there's a lot more to it than just that. You got all the heavy processing, all the processed grains, the chemicals, the preservatives, the highly processed sugars. I mean, just on. I mean, we can go on and on and on and on and on for all the stuff they put in there. Even the thing of, you know, natural flavors. I mean, that's an excuse to then put in hundreds of thousands of chemicals that are legally allowed to be there. I'm not making that up. Look it up if you don't believe me. You can literally put that stuff in there. But it made me think. You know, it made me think. If you guys remember that thing they came out with last year, that whole the Kellogg CEO was telling people, "Oh, you're gonna have to eat cereal for dinner," and it made me think. You know, wait a minute, like the doctor's pointing out. Well, wait a minute, that's a pretty good idea. If you want to drive up more sales of these food things.
When I say cereal, you say dinner. Cereal.
Dinner!
Cereal.
Dinner!
Chicken!
You can have the night off, chicken.
Ah, okay, I'll go marinate.
Cereal.
Dinner!
Cereal.
Dinner!
Hey, people are struggling, so hey, let's just tell them to go eat the cereal. It's no longer let them eat cake, now it's let them eat cereal. And oh look, we took out the dye. You know it's how it's gonna be. You know they're gonna put it on the box and say, hey, we got rid of those unhealthy dyes, and all the concerned moms and the concerned parents are gonna go, oh, that's great now. That's awesome. We got rid of the dyes. Now they're healthier. And they'll probably eat more of it, like that doctor's saying. Listen, friends, Big Ag is not going to go away. I'm sorry. I hate to say it. Big Ag, it's one of our biggest exports of the things that this country does export, and it's not a lot. What we do export, one of our big ones is agricultural sector, and that's, you know, our corn, our soybeans, and things like that, our grains. They're not going to stifle it. I'm sorry. I'm not a fan of it. I don't support the big ag industry and all the chemicals and the GMOs. I don't support all that stuff. But unfortunately, it's big business, man, and money talks. They're not gonna let that industry be touched. I'm sorry. And you go back to the thing that was said earlier this year. This is this USDA Secretary Brooke Rollins, and she made this interesting statement back in March. This was not long after her confirmation. It's interesting, this later on in this article, this again from Ag Funder News, it says, while some commentators see a mismatch between HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s calls for a tighter regulations on pesticides and food additives and moves by the Trump administration to relax regulations and gut the agencies regulating them, Rollins says she plans to work closely with HHS on making America healthy again MAHA agenda. So this is what she said. I am working with Secretary Bobby Kennedy as we speak on efforts to make America healthy again, but I am certain that we will do so in a way that does not compromise you and your farms and your farming practices. That's the key thing right there. In other words, she's saying not much is going to change. As for deregulation, she said, we're going to carefully review every regulation instituted over the last 4 years and remove all those that stifle your production. Rest assured, this administration will never rest until we get government off the back of our great innovators and entrepreneurs. Under the Biden administration, American ranchers and farmers face many harmful regulations, particularly from the EPA, which has very limited access to critical crop protection tools to help increase yields, use fewer inputs, and implement conservation practices. I'll be working with my good friend and one-time policy partner, Lee Zeldin, at the EPA to unleash prosperity in rural America through a massive deregulation project. In other words, it's more of the same, and they're going to do this more big ag stuff. It's not going to change, and this showed up in the MAHA report. You have to read between the lines here, where they talked about the purpose of this report is radical transparency about our current state to spur a conversation about how we can build a world together where American farmers are put at the center of how we think about health. Well, when you say American farmers, what does that mean?
Good farming and bad farming. There are good farming protocols and bad farming protocols. If we're afraid to say that, we're forever on this treadmill or confusion of, well, you know, what is health? And for this report to say American farmers are at the center, must be put at the center of how we think about health, I'm saying amen, preach it, but then I'm saying, well, but American farmers, as if, in other words, again, it's generic. All American farmers must be put, well, some should and some shouldn't. Some American farmers should be put at the center of how sick we are.
Yes.
And of course, as I said, you know, big ag is going to be protected because it's very simple. If you can't do it federally, okay, great. Well, let's go after the states. And I've talked about this, that now Bayer is now going after these states where they're now saying you can't file lawsuits against these companies. So if you can't do it at a federal level, great, go after the states and we'll just pay off the politicians where now you cannot lobby. The lobbyist cannot be held to account. The lobbyists are paying off the politicians, and these big ag funder companies can now get away with it. So nothing has changed, and it's just going to keep going this way. And I mean, this just happened again recently. Report on Zero Hedge that they were trying to shove another one of these things in North Carolina, because I talked about this in these articles, that North Carolina was the latest one they were trying to go after, and they tried shoving this actually in a one of these broader big spending packages, but thankfully there was enough Carolinians who were vigilant enough to see it, and they rang the phones like, hey, get that out of there, and thankfully they did. But that just shows you, like, they are trying to go state by state to get this stuff in law, so you cannot sue these people, because they've had to pay out millions of dollars, or billions of dollars. So listen, if it goes back to that clip I said in the beginning of this video, the best thing I can say is, frankly, it's the whole MAHA movement. They called it out, Joel Salatin and Sina McCollough. They called it out then. They were absolutely correct. Sounds great. More nanny state. That's all MAHA has been. And friends, it's only July 2nd. It's only July 2nd. We haven't even got through half the year yet. And then when you start hearing Kennedy talk about, oh, we're going to have wearables now and make American biotech accelerate, and he's backtracked on just about everything. They're promoting more, treatments for all kinds of stuff that's only going to be worse, stuff that I've warned about for years was going to happen, and it's happening. What's changed? What's changed? And I see people going, oh, I'm real disappointed. Well, I'm disappointed too, but why is this a surprise, man? I mean, if you saw what Kennedy was about, what he did, I mean, this really shouldn't have been a surprise. Listen, I'm not trying to be condescending. I'm not trying to sound arrogant. I want change. Friends, I legitimately want change. I legitimately want to want things to get better. I know people think I might be some kind of a negative ninny all the time, and oh, you're always so pessimistic. Well, this is why. This is why I'm so pessimistic all the time, because every time, just over and over and over. That's all I've ever seen. My entire young life has just been lie after lie after lie after lie. I'm over here going, why does anybody believe these people? If you are trusting the government to come help you, you're gonna be left reeling. You're gonna be left with gravel in your mouth. It's not gonna be better. If you want to make changes, the American people must resist. But we know it's not going to happen. Let's call a spade a spade. They're not going to do anything about it. So I don't know what to tell you. That'll be it for today's video. As I said, I think it's safe to say at this point, MAHA has been shown to be a joke at this point. Again, it sounds great, more nanny state. That's basically the best way to summarize it. All you're getting is just more of the same old stuff. It makes no difference at all. And so, but what's going to happen though, as I've been warning about, they're going to distract you with, hey, look, we got the food coloring out of your food system. Again, I think that's great. It's better than like not doing anything at all. But even then, that's a drop in the bucket. It's so many other problems, and you have the messaging you have to worry about. That it's not just the food dyes. It's not just that. And again, as that one doctor pointed out, food sales will probably go up, and especially as things become more expensive, more people are probably going to go in for the conventional foods, thinking that it's healthier. You know that these companies are going to market that. You know Kellogg's and whatever are going to put no more dyes on the box of cereal. You know they will. You know they will. And most people are going to fall for it, sadly, and people are going to get even sicker still. But don't worry, they'll be right there to study the treatment that he won't take off the air anymore like he promised. Surprise, surprise. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. I'd love to have a conversation about this. Are you impressed with MAHA? Do you think it'll get better from here? Do you think we need to give it more time, or do you think it's just dead on arrival? It's been a sham from the get-go. What do you guys think about this? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts about this. Please help this video get out there so more people can see it. We can have this discussion. Please share it on your social media networks. Please leave a like and subscribe if you like what you see here today. And again, please sure to follow me on my Substack page. We can get more content, my unfiltered content, where I can say things that I cannot say here on this platform. And you can see more goodies over there. So thank you all for watching. Have a great day. Take care. We'll see you next time.